The UAW strike is hitting smaller part plants across the nation, including one here in Portage County. Streetsboro Stellantis employees walked out this morning, and TV2 was at the scene.
With 8 days and counting till the next government shutdown, will Republicans and Democrats come to an agreement about budget cuts? You'll find out.
In New York, 2 dead and over 40 injured after a bus flipped carrying high school band students. We have the details.
And a FedEx worker finds herself delivering not only packages, but help to a citizen in need. All these stories and more as TV2 News starts right now.
This is TV2 News.
Good evening, Portage County, and welcome to your Friday evening newscast. I'm Erin Sullivan.
And I'm Radde.
We start tonight's newscast with the latest on the UAW strikes at General Motors and Stellantis plants, the parent companies of Jeep and Ram. The union has now recruited spare parts distribution site employees to join the strike. 38 new sites walked off the job this morning, which could mean consumers could be affected. Those looking to get their cars worked on or fixed may have to wait. Included in those 38 additional sites, the Streetsboro Stellantis facility walked out this morning.
Our own Michael Neenan has more on the story.
That's right, guys. Auto workers in Streetsboro have been on strike after failing to come to an agreement with the company.
Workers at the Stellantis Distribution Center in Streetsboro are on strike, demanding a new contract. This becomes the latest in a series of strikes across the nation led by the United Auto Workers.
The executive, the CEO of Chrysler, of Stellantis, makes 365 times what the average worker makes, and the company owes to these workers to make up for that, for their sacrifices. That's pretty much that simple.
UAW Local 573 represents 114 members. The workers are demanding better wages, benefits, and doing away with the tier system.
It's just not today. We're going to be out here until we get a good agreement. And we get a tentative agreement, and then they'll call us up to Detroit to review what they got for us. So we'll be out here as long as it takes. So we started today at noon, and we're going to be out here 24/7.
According to UnionFacts.com, this strike will affect distribution across 7 states. Auto worker Beverly Wilson says she has a message for the CEOs and shareholders of the companies.
Try working 1 hour in my shoes. I'll give you that 1 hour because I don't think you'll be able to do it. Then you'll understand why we're out here fighting.
The auto workers on strike are hoping the company will agree to their demands soon. From TV2 News, I'm Michael Neenan.
Thanks, Michael. Todd Dykin announced to students and faculty during his monthly Talking with Todd that the university has a new division, the Division of People, Culture, and Belonging. This group would include Kent's Human Resources and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Vice President Omiba Goodney would oversee the merging of the two groups.
Portage County's Treasurer Brad Cromes has resigned to join Cuyahoga County's Executive Chris Ronnie's staff as his nominee for County Treasurer. In an interview with the Portager, Cromes stated that his desire for a new challenge is what prompted him to run. Should the Cuyahoga County Council not confirm Cromes, he will remain as Portage County's treasurer until his end of term on December 31st, 2024.
A lawsuit against Kent schools is making its way to the Ohio Supreme Court. A former Kent teacher has sued the Kent City School District for allegedly violating its rules on renewing teaching contracts. Sean Jones, a former Stratton Middle School teacher, claims the school didn't properly evaluate him while renewing his contract. The Supreme Court doesn't have any hearing dates for this trial yet.
On Tuesday, several members of the Ohio State Board of Education have filed a lawsuit against Ohio Governor Mike DeWine to stop the transfer of power from the board to the governor and his office. Mike DeWine recently signed a state operating budget that would put the department under the governor's office, which would limit the department power for teacher disciplinary and any licensure cases or territorial disputes. The state board is filing a lawsuit because they believe this bill strips the elected board members from their duties and responsibilities towards the education system.
And an update from the First Energy lawsuit, attorneys discovered dozens of documents relating to bribery. First Energy is being sued for allegedly violating the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Large investors for their companies say their investments were badly harmed after the alleged violations. And be sure to follow Kent Wired as we keep an eye on this ongoing lawsuit.
Hello all Portage County in Northeast Ohio. Hope you're having a nice day out there. I'm TV2 weather anchor Odin Amador-Gorby with your Friday evening weather forecast. Now currently in Kent right now, we are dealing with sunny skies out there, a high of 75 degrees. Feels like 75 out there. Definitely sunglasses weather for sure. And we are dealing with dew point at 48, winds moving west at 10 miles per hour, humidity at 38%, and visibility at 9 miles. So it's definitely a gorgeous day out there, a gorgeous evening for sure. And as we look across your Northeast Ohio temperatures right now, we are dealing with highs almost hitting 80 in Kent, 78 in Kent right now. Cleveland at 75, Sandusky at 75, Ashtabula County at 75, 77 in Mansfield, 77 in Worcester, Canton at 76, and Youngstown at 74 degrees. So it's definitely a warm, almost hot evening out there for sure. And it's a little cooler on the lake shore because of that lake breeze. And as we look towards your hour-by-hour forecast across all of Northeast Ohio, we will be dealing with, towards your 7 o'clock p.m., we will be almost hitting that 80-degree mark, 78 degrees with sunny skies. But then as the sun goes down towards 9 o'clock, the temperature will go down slightly towards 72 degrees with clear skies. And then towards your 11 o'clock, we'll be heading towards 67 degrees. And it'll be much cooler towards 11 o'clock with clear skies. That's all I have for now, folks. In my next update, I'll have your weekend weather forecast.
Well, thanks, Odin. Looks like we're experiencing some technical difficulties right now. Bringing it back, the U.S. is bracing for a possible government shutdown in 8 days. We have the latest on this issue.
Why Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited President Biden at the White House on Thursday, and why he's currently in Canada, coming up after this break. Now joining us is Brian Muetzel with the traffic report.
Brian, what do you got for us?
Thank you, Erin and Lex. Good evening, Kent State and all of Portage County. I'm Brian Muetzel, and today's headlines are, get this, traffic and cars. Ohio troopers said eastbound lanes of Route 36 remain closed Thursday after a semi-truck spilled 100 to 150 gallons of diesel fuel. According to Ohio State Highway Patrol, a semi-transit was collided just before 11 a.m. on Morris Crossing Avenue near Newcomerstown. The semi-fuel tank burst open during the crash, and Highway Patrol said they are still working to clear the roadways. Troopers said both drivers received non-life-threatening injuries and are being transported to local hospitals. A water main break occurred this morning on State Route 611 in Avon. Avon police stated on X that the break is between Harvest Drive and Bridge Point Trail. Around 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, police department stated the pipe was fixed and back open for use. A 74-year-old Fresco man flown to Columbus Hospital following a crash Thursday evening. The Coshocton County Sheriff Department reported a single vehicle crash shortly after 8:30 p.m. Thursday in White Ice Township. Authorities said Terry Soward, 74 of Fresco, was traveling westbound when he failed to navigate a curve, and he began to slide to the right side of the road. He oversteered and went to the left side and hit an embankment. Soward was transported by MedFlight to Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center for treatments of unknown injuries. For more information, stay tuned to Kent Wired. The road is dangerous, so it's important to stay alert and watch the road. Reporting from the Franklin Hall studio, I'm Brian Muetzel, TV2 News.
Thanks, Brian. A high school charter bus from New York crashed in Pennsylvania Thursday afternoon, leaving 2 adults dead. Allie Bowman reports.
Just 40 minutes to their destination in Greeley, Pennsylvania.
Lost rollover MVA with ejection.
This charter bus from Farmingdale High School careened off I-84 near Wawayanda in Orange County Thursday afternoon, toppling its 44 passengers down a 50-foot ravine.
Imagine the fear the screams in the aftermath. When these high school students, many of them freshmen, were surrounded by this chaos.
We landed on the side. I had to jump out the window.
15-year-old Anthony Eugenio was on board.
As soon as I picked my head up, the kid next to me was covered in blood. I saw blood everywhere.
First responders rushed to the dangerous scene. Windows had been smashed out and a ladder was raised along the side of the bus.
Preliminary information indicates a failure of a front tire may have been a contributing factor to this accident.
40 high school students were on board along with 4 adults. 2 of them did not survive. They are 77-year-old Beatrice Ferrari of Farmingdale and 43-year-old Gina Pelletieri, the school's marching band teacher. The bus was one of 6 that left Farmingdale in the morning, carrying about 300 marching band students in all for a long weekend at a camp in Pennsylvania. Several students on this bus were hospitalized, including at least 5 with critical injuries.
The only advice I can give to anybody tonight is hug your children very tight. Life is very precious, and our kids started out today thinking they were going to have a wonderful weekend with their friends.
Welcome back, everyone. Here's a look now at your statewide temperatures, and as we look all across statewide temperatures all across Ohio, we are currently seeing temperatures almost hitting 80 degrees out there. 76 in Akron right now, Steubenville at 76, but look at Athens right now, 81 degrees. Columbus is hitting 82 right now, and Lima 83 degrees, Dayton at 80, and Cincinnati hitting a whopping 84 degrees. So towards southern Ohio, we are getting those warm temperatures as you head towards the south, but towards the north, it's a little cooler because of the lake breeze and stuff like that. But anyway, as we look for your weekend outlook, we are going to be dealing with a little bit cooler temperatures, but it's still going to be pretty hot for sure. For tomorrow, for Saturday, we'll be dealing with cloudy skies, high of 72 degrees, cloudy throughout the day. Winds will be gusty at times, so that'll kind of cool things off a little bit. Winds moving east-northeast at 11 miles per hour. It will be gusty at times, and sunset will be at 7:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as we look towards your Sunday outlook, we will be dealing with a little bit cooler, slightly cooler. We'll be almost hitting 70, but it'll be 68 for your Sunday, but partly to mostly cloudy skies throughout the day. Winds will be moving northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour, and sunset will be at 7:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as we look towards your 7-day outlook, let's talk about it, folks. We'll be dealing with, for your Saturday, we'll be dealing with a high of 75, cloudy skies, and then Sunday, partly cloudy skies, 70 degrees. Monday, we'll be dealing with 71, cloudy skies. But then Tuesday, it's going to be kind of interesting because there is that tropical storm that is in the northeast that is going to be moving through, but we might get some of the rain bands for that. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we'll be dealing with the rain bands from it with highs in the 60s, almost hitting 70 towards Thursday. And then Friday, we'll be dealing with partly cloudy skies, a high of 70 degrees. So we'll definitely be watching that rain for sure, because I think that some of that might be coming from that tropical storm. But anyway, that about wraps up my Friday evening weather forecast. Please enjoy these warm temperatures. Have a great weekend, everybody. Back to you guys at the news desk.
The Republican and Democrat lawmakers have 8 days and counting to make a deal on budget cuts before the government shuts down. Senate Majority Chuck Schumer made a procedural move that allows the Senate to work on a short-term funding bill next week. Some Republicans in D.C. are supporting the action, such as Congressman Mike Lawler tweeted, "Failure is not an option." In the meantime, everything is up in the air. The U.S. training and support for Ukraine forces will continue even if Congress fails to pass a spending bill. Operation Atlantic Resolve determined that the training of Ukrainian fighters would not be interrupted, along with the active transfer of weapons. Ukraine is scheduled to receive U.S. Abrams tanks soon, and Ukrainian pilots are currently gearing up and training on 16 fighter jets.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Canada Parliament this afternoon and spoke to Parliament about the war in Ukraine. Zelensky urged leaders to continue their support for Ukraine. He thanked the nation for their financial support and for welcoming Ukrainian refugees to their country.
On Thursday, India passed a bill that will reserve a third of parliament seats for women. This is seen as a major win for groups campaigning on better gender representation in Indian politics and government. These seats will cover the lower house along with the state assemblies.
A mass forest fire is spreading through the country of Colombia. The mayor of Cali, Jorge Ivan Epsini, has asked volunteer firefighters to stop the blaze in La Bitua, Guacas, and Altos de Manga. The cause of the fire has not been released. Officials are still investigating it. Don't have dinner plans tonight? Well, it's time to chef it up because we have the perfect meal for you to whip up in honor of today's holiday.
And coming up next in sports, we're going to take a look at Thursday night football. Stay tuned for a breakdown of the 49ers-Giants game last night.
In Chicago, over $100,000 in equipment was stolen at Soldier Field Stadium, home of the Chicago Bears. A stadium manager said thieves broke in Wednesday night and took gators and lawnmowers from a parking structure.
The security fence around the stadium was torn down to drive the equipment out of the garage. Quite another unfortunate loss for the Chicago Bears.
And joining us now in our sports report is Timmy Carlile with more on sports. Hi, Timmy.
Hello and welcome back to another Friday night sports report. I'm Timmy Carlile, here to catch you up on what is happening with Kent State athletics. We'll start things off out on the pitch. The Flashes soccer team opened up MAC play with a 1-0 win at Ohio yesterday. Alyssa Arthur scored the lone goal for Kent State, netting her second goal of the season in only the 10th minute of the game. The clean sheet for Sarah Mellon was the 15th of her career, which is 4th most in program history. The win improves the Flashes to 4-2. Next up for Kent State is the Akron Zips, who will visit Dick Stadium on Sunday at 1 p.m. for a wagon wheel showdown. Next, we're going to toss it around with Timmy and take a look at what's happening with KSU sports. In field hockey today, they fell 3-2 at home against the Ohio Bobcats, and their record is now 2-7 as they dropped their first conference game of the season. The volleyball team just got things started at the top of the hour in Kent, facing off versus Buffalo in a 2-game series with Game 2 coming tomorrow at 4 p.m. And football looks to continue to play well at home, coming off of their win last week, when this week they head to Fresno State to take on the Bulldogs at 10:30 p.m. And finally, women's soccer comes to Akron. We welcome you to Portage County. Akron is coming to Portage County this Sunday. Best of luck, everyone, and go Flashes. Here we go. Now we are going to travel to Santa Clara, California, and take a look inside Levi Stadium, where Nick Bosa is going to start things off, sacking Daniel Jones at the 1-yard line, 3-3. When Brock Purdy's going to take over, he's going to find Ronnie Bell over the middle. Look at that. Nice catch for a touchdown, falling out of bounds. It's 10-3. Giants are down, and Christian McCaffrey is going to rush the ball into the end zone, putting the Giants down even more. San Francisco would jump up on that 17-3, and they were pretty much in control from that point on out. Here we're going to see Brock Purdy with a deep ball to Deebo Samuel. That was a big touchdown. Fantasy owners had to be happy with Brock Purdy's performance yesterday, putting up a couple touchdowns and getting the win. Here we have the icing on the game when Talanoa Ufunga is going to pick the ball off with about 3 minutes and a half to go. And that's going to do it, as the final score would be 30-12 in San Francisco. And that is all the time I have for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I've been Timmy Carlile. Let's go Kent State.
Coming up on TV2 News, a woman saved from her burning house, but not by who you'd expect.
A FedEx driver in Tennessee did more than just deliver packages this week. He helped save a woman as a fire tore through her home. Leslie Dominique has the story.
Her kitchen now left without electricity, with ripped ceilings and ashes. But there is a bright side to this story, an unlikely hero.
He was one in a million, one in a lifetime.
87-year-old Maddie White swings in her chair, grateful to be alive after what she went through only a day ago.
You could see the blaze, and I said, oh, Lord.
She left grease on her stove, and moments later, she says she took a nitroglycerin and 2 aspirins for a health condition. That's when she fell asleep and her house caught on fire.
The house has a lot of sentimental value. My grandfather built this house in 1919.
Maddie says there are several heroes in this story, like her dog Love, who woke her up.
She jumped up. My hand was down, and she was biting on my hand, and I woke up.
And her neighbors who saved her Love.
I praise God for my baby here.
But there's another hero, a stranger, who answered her calls for help.
If the FedEx driver hadn't done what he done, we wouldn't be sitting on this porch today.
A FedEx driver was on his regular delivery route when Maddie screamed about the fire. That driver called 911 and didn't hesitate to go into Maddie's house and started putting out the fire himself with a sink hose and fire extinguishers. That hero Maddie desperately wanted to thank, we were able to find. Eldon Borg took on those flames for a stranger.
The stove was here. I had to pull it out because the flames back here, I couldn't get it. I had the hose right here spraying it.
And although he wasn't left without scars, he says it was the right thing to do. An act that leaves him humble, but an elderly woman grateful.
And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
A delivery she'll never forget.
Come by and see me anytime.
I'm here almost every day in the neighborhood.
Okay.
In Etowah, Leslie Dominique, Fox Chattanooga.
Craving a pot pie? Well, you're in luck. Tomorrow is National Pot Pie Day. Pot pies are all American and first appeared in print in the U.S. back in 1785. They're easy to make, but you can also celebrate with a frozen pot pie from a local grocery store or by ordering one at a restaurant. Make sure to post the social media hashtag National Pot Pie Day while you're enjoying your pie full of delicious meat. So, Erin, have you ever had a pot pie before?
No, and I don't plan on it, but shout out to those who celebrate. I actually read an interesting fact about pot pies before this newscast because I don't know much about the food. And when people would go on a voyage, like on ship to the U.S. from like Europe, they would freeze pot pies and they would fill them with all sorts of meats like pigeons and veal and all that weird stuff.
Oh,
so,
all right. Well, and that FedEx driver.
Yeah, great story. But that
Indeed.
is all the time we have today. Thanks so much for joining us.
For updates on all these stories and more, visit our website at kentwired.com and all social medias at KentWired.
But TV2 is not finished yet. Tune into an all-new episode of Kent Core at 9 p.m. tonight. I'm Erin Sullivan.
And I'm Lex Radde. Have a great night, Portage County.
This is Portage County's TV2, broadcasting from the campus of Kent State University. Streaming online